there and you sit and you wait and you just literally it's like organized chaos. You got like 4 different lanes that they're trying to split up, and then you bottleneck into 2 lanes, and then you split up into 4 lanes again, and it's like it's organized. And nothing against those guys, they do the best that they can. They're actually really awesome people to put on the show, and they do the best that they can. But there's just so many cars that are coming in there, and yes, it is a Subaru festival, but you know, you do see other cars that are non-Subarus. You see Toyotas there. I've seen BMWs and stuff like that. There is a pretty eclectic group of cars that you will see, but it is primarily, the main focus is Subaru. And what I think is really cool is that you start to see a lot of like the JDM Subarus that you don't see people importing. Everybody and their brother wants to import a JDM STI, you know, version 6, whatever, stuff like that. What you don't see is like the JDM Vivos and the Sandbars and some of the little like key cars, K cars, you know, that are really kind of, it's like a niche market that really likes those cars, so they're not as appreciated in my opinion. So I'm looking forward to trying to get some footage of those cars. Those of you that don't know what those type of cars are, this will be your introduction to them. Hopefully we'll see a lot of that. Some pretty cool JDM legacies from the first generation that you'll see there, which is what's cool about those is you'll see they have a water to air intercooler on them. I mean, there's tons of features that are cool on those cars, but that I'm just pointing out something that's major that you can tell as soon as somebody pops the hood that boom, that top mount is different than your average top mount. It looks like a radiator filler. So hopefully we'll see a couple of those there, and you know, I'm not talking it up and then, you know, for some reason they're not there. But yeah, there's a couple of people that show up with those kind of cars. Both of them are white, actually. They're both that white color that they came in. That the name of it's slipping me right now, but I'll come back to you on that one. But this is Danbury so far that we're heading through. The next time I'll be checking in as Hartford. I'll probably be going through my downshift tunnel that I've talked about last time. Remember, always downshifting tunnels. Stay tuned.
I'm saying, well, I'm awake and I speak English, so yeah, I do know what you're saying.
But so we're probably a little more than a quarter. Well, we're more than a quarter of the way, but we're not exactly halfway yet. So I still got another at least hour and a half or so of driving. I'm trying to get there right around when gates open, and if I time things right and traffic continues moving with me like it is, I should get there right on time, just so I can still wait an hour one one. But all in the fun. Stay tuned.
It wasn't long before we started seeing signs for Hartford, Connecticut, meaning the halfway point was near. Traffic was seemingly non-existent and the weather was perfect. This made for a great journey going to Wicked Big Meet in Stafford Springs, Connecticut, as we were soon to be approaching Hartford, Connecticut, where we will be going through one of my favorite areas, the Downshift Tunnel. You'll be seeing that soon. At this point in the journey on the highway, we had started to catch up to some other Subarus, as here we see a 2006-ish Forester XT in WR Blue. We had then caught up to a 2015 to 2021 style WRX, and also a 2015 to 2021 style STI that were all heading to Wicked Big Meet along with us.
Which
This was it. It was the final checkpoint. We had entered Stafford Springs, as you could see the sign in the corner, letting us know that Wicked Big Meet was right around the corner.
We are now coming into Stafford Springs, and this little turnaround actually is usually always flooded with cars just in general, and it takes like a while to get through here. I'm surprised that this opened right now. Let's see if this guy
direct that traffic. Anyway, jokes aside, we are here. We made it to Wicked Big Meet, and I am super stoked for this. It gets bigger and bigger every single year. It's a cool Legacy GT second gen that just went by. Clear corners in the back. Nice, nice. So I'm gonna close off here. This would be episode 1, and it's the journey 2. If you haven't noticed the pattern already, is that guy almost takes out the freaking wood block. That was smart. What was I saying now? I lost my train of thought. So we're gonna pan off here, and we'll be inside the show for episode 2. So stay tuned for episode 2 of Wicked Big Meet 2022, and let's see some Subarus.